All right, let's talk about something that causes a ton of pain for new B2B companies. Go to market. You know the feeling, right? It's like you're pushing this giant boulder up a hill. You're putting in all the effort, and it just keeps rolling back down. Well, we're going to break down why most of these GTM failures are actually decided way before a single campaign ever sees the light of day.
This right here, this is the entire idea in a nutshell, so really let it sink in. When things aren't clicking, our first instinct is to blame the marketing, right? Or maybe the channels aren't working, or our data's bad. But the real issue, the one that's a lot harder to admit, is often much, much simpler. You just don't have something solid enough to take to market yet.
And this is what makes it so tricky, so deceptive. You see all the signs of progress. You're running campaigns, you're publishing content, you've got these beautiful dashboards filled with charts. I mean, it looks like you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. But if that foundation isn't solid, it's just motion without momentum. It's an illusion of progress.
So, to really get to the bottom of this, here's how we're going to tackle it. First, we're going to redefine what GTM actually is and isn't. Then, we'll talk about a critical missing phase that almost everyone skips. After that, we'll get into 4 crystal clear signals that tell you you're actually ready. And finally, we'll unpack why so many teams feel this immense pressure to jump ahead.
Okay, first things first, let's just clear the air and tear down a huge misconception. We've got to get really specific about what go-to-market actually means.
So GTM is not the big launch day. It is not just building a slick new website or running a super clever ad campaign. It's definitely not about hiring your first marketer and just hoping for magic. And it is certainly not about just turning on a bunch of channels and hoping for the best. These are just things you do. They're the outputs, not the system itself.
And that's the key word right there, system. A real go-to-market strategy is a system. It's a machine with 3 core parts that have to work together. It connects a real buyer problem to a clear value exchange through a repeatable sales motion. If any one of those 3 legs of the stool is wobbly, the whole thing just falls apart.
And you know what? That's the real danger here. An unstable GTM system, it doesn't fail with a big explosion. It fails quietly. It's that feeling of just spinning your wheels. You're busy, but you're not getting anywhere. You might see some blips in your data, but they don't actually mean anything. It's the perfect way to get completely stuck.
So this brings us to the big missing piece of the puzzle for so many startups. There's this super important phase that comes before you even think about GTM, a phase that most teams just blow right past. We call it pre-GTM.
Now, it is absolutely critical to understand that pre-GTM is not, I repeat, not the same as pre-launch. Pre-launch is all about tactics, preparing for a big public announcement. Pre-GTM is way more fundamental. It's about getting to what we call pre-repeatability. That's the phase where you're just trying to validate if a GTM system should even exist in the first place.
Think about it. During this pre-GM phase, everything's kind of squishy. Demand is just starting to take shape. The value you think you provide is still being tested in the real world. And whatever sales motion you have is just barely starting to emerge. If you try to pour gasoline on that with a big marketing push, you don't create growth. You just amplify the confusion.
Okay, so how do you actually know when it's time? How do you know when you're ready to graduate from that pre-GTM phase into a real GTM motion? Well, that's what this next part is all about. We're going to walk through 4 key signals that tell you you're actually ready to hit the gas.
And here they are, the 4 big signals of readiness. We're going to unpack each one, but just to lay them out. 1. The problem exists without you. 2. Your value is something people can see and feel. 3. A sales motion is starting to happen on its own. And 4. You can actually measure if you're going in the right direction. Let's dig in.
First up, and this might be the most important one of all, the problem you solve has to exist organically. It can't be something you need a 10-minute long explanation to convince people is a big deal. The pain has to be real, it has to be present for your buyer, whether you exist or not.
So what's the proof? How do you know you've got this? It's when real buyers can describe their problem in their own words without you feeding them the script. They bring it up on their own, unprompted. And you hear the same thing consistently from different people. The big takeaway here is simple. Go-to-market scales problem awareness. It absolutely cannot manufacture it from nothing.
All right, on to signal number 2. Your value can't just be a good story you tell on your website. It's got to be something the buyer can actually see or feel. It has to be tangible, observable.
And the proof is in the results. Can buyers actually point to the time they saved, the money they didn't have to spend, the risk that's now gone? If your value needs this super complicated story or a really heavy-handed pitch to make sense, you're not ready.
because marketing will not fix an unclear value proposition. At best, it'll just hide the problem for a little while.
Signal number 3 is all about seeing the very first, faint signs of a process that could one day be repeatable. You need some proof, any proof, that you can turn conversations into actual revenue, even if it's messy and totally manual at first.
So what does this actually look like in the wild? It's simple. Conversations that lead to money. That's it. The process doesn't have to be pretty or fast or scalable yet. It can be incredibly slow. It can be ridiculously manual. But it has to be real. A go-to-market motion without a real sales process underneath it, well, that's just performance theater.
And our final signal, number 4, is about data. Now, you don't need perfect, hyper-precise analytics at this stage, but you do need to be able to measure change in a meaningful way. You have to have some kind of baseline to know if you're moving forward or backward.
The proof here is being able to answer one simple question. What changed compared to what baseline? If every single number you look at requires a huge leap of faith to believe it's good, if it's based on hope instead of a real comparison, then your GTM data isn't just worthless, it's worse, it's actively misleading you.
Okay, so if these signals are so clear and so important, why do so many smart, capable teams just skip right past this whole pre-GTM phase? Well, the reasons are actually super predictable, they're really powerful, and they're very, very human.
There are just these huge pressures from all sides. Founders get impatient, they want to see things happen now. You've got investors breathing down your neck, asking about GTM activity. All the marketing tools you buy are designed to get you to do things. And then you look on social media and see your competitors launching stuff and you feel like you're falling behind. It just always feels better to be doing something than to be waiting.
And that's the trap, isn't it? Everybody gets busy. They're busy launching, they're busy posting on social, they're busy building dashboards and reporting on numbers that don't really mean a thing. From the outside, the system looks totally alive. But on the inside, it's hollow.
So I want to leave you with a question to really think about. If your current go-to-market efforts feel heavy or noisy or just plain confusing, ask yourself, is the real issue here about effort, or could it just be about timing?
Because at the end of the day, GTM isn't where you go to find clarity. It's where you go to scale the clarity you have already painstakingly found. Before you lose sleep over channels and metrics and growth targets, you need to have readiness. And that readiness is forged in the pre-GTM phase. Now, if you want a structured way to think about this, there's a link to a free pre-GTM readiness framework just below. It's not about tactics, it's just a simple way to help you decide if you're truly ready to begin.